she got a virus there.
Yeah, I bet. I can understand.
Yeah, so I think that was it. And I called the doctor right now because I got scared. And I'm
Yeah.
alone here. So my husband is working. And yesterday my mother-in-law was here. So it was perfect. But she left today. So I was like kind of stressed. And I called the doctor and he said, like, just put her on a diet, like 1 hour, nothing. And then just give her some water or anything like that. No solids for the moment.
Yeah, liquid.
Exactly. So yeah, but maybe she'll come right now. She's very happy. I mean, she's
That's
like,
okay. If you
doesn't have.
that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not very worried about that. But I mean, yeah, it's frustrated because she's sick. So
Oh, poor guy.
I know.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you for being here.
Thank you for
Let's
having
start
me.
our podcast. I'm so excited.
Me too. Let's see what I can do.
So yes. So you have your hair long. I thought you had it shorter.
Yeah, I decided to just leave it long after the baby was born, and she's actually 9 months now. She just turned 9 months, actually in 2 days. Because I know I just won't have time to keep cutting it short and maintaining it.
Yeah, it's so difficult. It looks really good.
Thank you. I think I need to update all of my profiles picture with long hair, but that's later. That's not critical.
Yeah, you'll get it. Emma, she's 18 months now. And I can say that now I am more aware of her schedule and I can control it more.
Yeah.
It took me a while. It took me like 18 months, you know, so you'll get there. I think you'll get there, so don't worry.
I hope so. My fingers crossed.
I know. So you live in San Francisco, right?
That's right. I live in sunny, not so sunny. It's sunny today, but it's cold, actually, very windy. But I do live in San Francisco.
I love San Francisco. I love North California. We went there like a month ago, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
Next time you're here, give me a call.
Yes, I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
So tell me more about Madeira, how you started it. What was your dream? I know that you wanted to do fashion design, which I relate to that story as well. I wanted to study fashion as well. My dad didn't let me to do that.
Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah, but now I think I thanks him, you know, because I think that if I would study fashion design, I had a lot of friends who study fashion design and they don't know how to do a business.
Exactly. And that is when you asked me that question, I was like, oh, how am I going to put this without, you know, insulting anybody who goes to fashion school? But in my mind, so just give everybody a little bit background of myself. I, just like you, when I was 18, actually way before that, I decided to come to the United States to study. So I came here for college when I was 18. I grew up in Macau, which is a small Portuguese colony next to Hong Kong. So I still remember the moment that my dad asked me, so when you go to America, what do you want to study? I said, fashion design. He's like, absolutely no way. I'm paying for you to go study there. You better study for something that you can make money, right? To sustain your life. So long story short, I study science, biosciences. And then one thing led to another, I decided to even go for graduate school. So I got my PhD in bioengineering. So I was going to continue that route. But before I finished my dissertation in 2008, I was like, wait a minute. As I was writing, it's like, okay, now I'm going to submit my dissertation and that's done. And what am I going to do? I cannot actually see myself doing lab work every single day. That's just too boring. And the people that usually lab attracts are the kind of people I hate to say that because there are a lot of cool scientists out there and I was fortunate to work with a lot of them, but majority of them, the lab attracts the kind of really quiet introvert person that I cannot communicate. Not that they're bad, it's just I cannot hang out with them a lot. So it sort of got me thinking, what was it that I really wanted to do, that I always wanted to do? And that was always fashion. It was always with me. So, is she up?
Oh, she's here.
Hi. Oh, she's so cute. You're so cute. So that was the moment I realized, okay, that's not what I want to do, but I know I need to make a living. I studied for so long. And so I did a couple of things. I know that I wanted to have my own clothing line. So what I did was, before I finished up graduate school, I went to Berkeley, and fortunately in Berkeley, when you're a graduate student, you can actually enroll in their business school for classes, and you don't have to pay extra for it. So that's what I did. So I finished a certificate program for management there. Granted, it's more on the technology side of things, but the skill is very transferable.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I did, and that actually how led me to more business side of sort of area after I graduated. So instead of going into working in a lab or anything with my degree, I applied for jobs at biotech company, but working on more marketing side and business side of things. And that's, and exactly. So that actually helps me get more of the business side of things. While I save up money, the plan was always saving up money to start my own clothing line.
Exactly, which you did good, well, because I mean, you didn't study anything related to fashion.
No.
You were extreme, but you wanted to get yourself into the business side.
Yeah, because I know that's what I needed.
You know, and I bet that right now is helping you more than studying fashion, because I think fashion in a sense of way, I mean, of course, if you want to do your collection by yourself, you need to look to study patterns and everything. But if you want to do business of it, then you need to study like marketing and administration.
Exactly.
That, you know?
Yeah, and a lot of people actually ask me that, you didn't study fashion, how do you do it? And a lot of time when people ask me, I sort of gauge why they're asking. A lot of time is because people want to go into fashion, but they did not study for fashion, and they're afraid that if I didn't study for it, how am I supposed to do that? And I know this answer is kind of easy and may not resonate with everybody, but I always tell them, I say, look, Beyonce can have her own clothing line. Do you think she studied fashion?
That's what I keep saying to everyone.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
When they ask me, what do you study? What's your PhD? I'm like, I study fashion. Not, I say I study marketing, but I'm focusing more in fashion. I do fashion. She agrees with me. So yeah, I think, I mean, you don't need to study that. I think that's a very creative part. And I mean, if you have that style and if you know what's your vision and how you want women wearing your collection, then you got it.
Exactly.
You know? So,
it's all about being resourcefulness. That's my understanding, my way of thinking.
That's awesome. So you started Madreina in what year?
Actually, last year. I formed the company in January, and I launched the line. And when I actually was pregnant in January, I was 3 months pregnant. So having that delivery, my due date was August 20 something. I was like, I have to get everything rolled up to the point where I can bring stuff to the factory and sold. So that first 8 months of 2015 was basically getting everything behind the scene done, so that once I went into labor, I don't have to worry about it. And then the business, the online store was actually launched in right before Thanksgiving.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did you manage with all of that? Or did you have a deadline? You wanted to have everything done once the delivery was when you had the baby, right?
Correct. Yeah. So having the baby, I know it was stressful, but it actually really put me focus on things that I really just need to get done. What are the most critical thing? And I think one of the questions you asked, like, how do you focus or how do you manage? And a lot of times so when I was working at the corporate job, I actually was a one-person marketing department. So I manage a lot of things, and there's no way you can just manage everything. And it was a startup company here in the Bay Area. So what I've learned from there is that you really just need to know what your intention is. So meaning, what do you want to get and why? From that, you drive your goals. What are the goals you want to set? And which one are actually realistic? Which one is realistic? And which one is, in a more, I guess, practical manner, is which one gets you closest to the money? Because eventually you want to be able to make a sale. So which task do you need to do in order to get you to the revenue point? That's how I always sort of prioritize my task.
Right. And you have to, because if you don't prioritize what you have to do, then you get loose, you know?
Exactly.
So, and I'm always trying to say in the community that people has to know that if you just have plans, you cannot do it.
Yeah, no.
they're just dreams, you know?
Exactly. And I also knew that in 2015, I did a lot of things myself, but because of my previous corporate training, I make sure I delegate things that I know is just, I'm not the expert, and I will spend way too much time doing it half as done than paying somebody else to do it that are perfect and done it in a shorter manner. So I started doing a lot of things that I know is repetitive in the future. I batch it and I send it to someone else to do it on basically freelancers like Fiverr, who do things usually $5-10 at a time for me, and just do that. Yeah, like Photoshop, I suck at it. So I just have somebody do it for me, and they do it much better.
I think we're in the same boat, because at the beginning I wanted to do everything, you know, but I didn't have the time. And I thought to myself, like, I'm getting so, like, I felt very frustrated because I couldn't do Photoshop. I didn't know how to do Photoshop.
Yeah.
I don't want to learn Photoshop.
Exactly. That's not what you want to do. That's not what you want to focus. You want to focus on your vision. And I assume you want to be able to spend time with your kid, right? So,
exactly, yes.
Yeah, sometimes I actually guilty too, and my husband always call me out and say, would you rather spend an hour on Photoshop, or would you rather spend an hour with your girl and pay somebody else $5 to do it? I was like, yeah, exactly. I should probably just pay somebody $5 to do it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying. I want people to delegate. And it took me like 2 years, because I've been doing this for 2 years. It took me 2 years to know that. And so you're in a good track, because you just started it, and you realize fast, like, hey, I don't have the time. I don't want to do this.
Right.
Find it.
Yeah.
I'll find the people who can do it for me.
Exactly.
You know?
I think the hurdle I did have, besides the mindset, initially, I did get caught up on doing a lot of things myself, but it's how do I delegate? Like, how do I tell somebody to do what I have in my mind that I want them to do? I think that's the toughest part. And what I have realized is that through practice, when you say, every time when I realize there's a task that is repetitive, I would write it out on, say, a Word document. That's the instruction that I'll write for somebody to do it. And I save it somewhere. I have a folder just called instruction or workflow. And that is the thing that I always send it to somebody. I say, this is what I want to do, follow these instruction and step. And every time if there is a miscommunication in that process, I go back to that same Word document and refine it so that the next time the communication will be more clear with whoever I want to use. So I always save the instruction. I call it the SOP, the standard operating protocol in the corporate sense. But once you have that accumulated, it's much easier for you to just say, here's what I want to do for XYZ. Can you do it? And you don't have to write up everything brand new again. And that saves you a lot more time.
Yeah, that's completely true, because I think you have to decide it first. If you go for it, then it will get easier. And it's all about practice.
Exactly.
Like, I decided that I need to hire people, because in what I'm doing, I had a blog. So I needed people to do my graphic design.
Right.
I hire an internship for doing that. And at the beginning, I didn't know how to explain her, because I wasn't a boss. I remember my boss back then, how she was my boss, and I started like to copy in her and just delegating things to her.
Yes.
And I think
the perfect, actually best way to do it is, if you don't know how to do it, you find somebody that you're like, how would that person be doing? And you just imitate that person to begin with.
And I think everyone has worked before in a corporate, so anyone can do that, and you just remember how they do it with you. And I was trying to, and I even bought a book that it was like how not to be a bitch boss, something like that. Because I was like, oh my God, I think I'm like going crazy, and I'm just putting that craziness into my team,
Right.
So for me, I think that's the hardest part, like to find the right team, because normally people don't go, they have their dreams, and I understand that. But they don't work. I think it's easier if you find like a freelance, like Fiverr or something like that, because if you hire someone, they're just there for the money,
Correct.
And
you're
starting up, so you're like, hey, I don't have the money right now.
Right.
So it's kind of hard, but you just have to do it and practice.
Yeah, practice.
I've been like, I have changed, like, I think I have like 7 interns, 2 years. So I know exactly how to deal right now with them.
Yeah.
I had the practice.
Yeah,
So
it is. It's a muscle memory kind of thing. The more you do it, the more you know, and you will eventually develop your own style. Some, like what you were saying, you don't want to be a bitch boss, right? I had the exact feeling when I first hired an intern back in when I was working in an office. Like, all right, here is the person, I really need her help, but how do I not scare her away? Because I really need her to help me.
yes.
But I think throughout the years, I started attracting a lot of younger person who just want to come work with me. And I'm not bragging, trying to brag myself, but I think what I realized is that I always sort of look out for their best interest. And I think that is why they want to come back to work with me, because I have their back and I look out for them. And I think that's, whether somebody's working for you or just your friend, that's, you know, the best you can do is to look out for them and see how best you can.
And ask for help. Ask for help. Like, ask your friend who has been a boss for 15 years, hey, how you doing? How you manage, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that asking for help is something that I have learned as well a lot.
Absolutely.
It's awesome. Like, I have great results from people that I don't know even.
Yeah.
And they want to help me, you know? So I feel like very privileged that I have those people around me now that are helping me, and just to, they're like, they know my dream, what my dream is, so that I'm gonna do something with it.
Right. Yeah.
I want to talk more about products. So how did you start? Like, I know I tried to do a collection back then in 3 years ago, and I just dropped it because I like, it's, for me, it was time consuming. Like, I know it's hard to find like the right manufacturer,
right,
and everything. So how was your experience on that?
So before as I said earlier, I always knew I wanted to do fashion, right? So in that 5 years, I was working in an office job doing my my marketing work. I actually was out and about in San Francisco going to a lot of the trade shows. So I know I need to find the resources, and the only way to find those resources is to go out and talk to people, because a lot of these people are like factory, they're not listed on the internet. That's the last thing that you will find them.
Yeah.
They're usually on a premium price because they are ahead of the game. So a lot of these factories are run by usually people who are not originally from this country, so there's a language barrier there, and that's why usually you won't be able to find them on the internet. It's always through word of mouth. So I for that 5 years, I basically every so often I go to attend trade shows, meet with people. There's actually organization here to help, but there are a lot more now that help people with development process. By development, I mean to do the pattern, to do your sample, and even sometimes talking to the factory for you. It depends on your budget. And you're in LA, right? Yeah, so I know that there is a company called the Evans Group, and now they rebranded it, called the TEG. So the Evans Group basically is the abbreviation for the Evans Group. If you go to their website, and I can post that website also for anybody who's interested, but they do that kind of work. Basically, you have a sketch or you have a design concept, you go to them, they have basically a team of pattern makers, sample maker, people who do fitting and all of them for you, up to the point of going to the factory. And now I think they even work with factories so to do your production steps, so that
I found one of those, but aren't they very expensive?
It depends on your budget. So the Evans Group, if you go to their website, I think for 2 designs, so 2 styles, they charge for $2,400, which so when I did my first collection, so back up a little bit, when I did my first collection, I did everything myself, meaning I didn't do the pattern, I didn't do the sample, because I suck at sewing, and it takes way too long for me. But what I do is I go to different person to do different jobs. So I have a pattern maker who does not talk to the sample maker, so I have to go to the pattern maker. Once she's done, I take the pattern and I take that to the sample maker, explain to her the concept again, and she will cut it and sew it for me, and I'll take that sample back and then fit it on a fit model. So all of that I manage. And with that process, I developed just one style. If you go to my website, that was the only style I have right now, but I have it in 2 colors. That cost me about, it's a full jumpsuit. That cost me about $3,600, if I remember going back to look at the from pattern to the end. Yeah. So now I look back at the price that the Evans Group quote on me. It's basically the same thing, but with them, I did not have to do all that in and out manage, driving around town to pick up stuff. They actually manage all of that for you.
Yeah.
So it can be expensive, but I think if you're an entrepreneur and you can afford to put that upfront cost for someone to manage that for you also, it will make your life a lot easier. Because one of the mistakes I learned, especially with pattern development and sample making, is a lot of the, I don't know, people in this group, are they familiar with the word pattern? But basically is, if you watch Project Runway, you may be able to notice that they sometimes will design a sketch and then they have to translate it into a piece of paper. That's sort of the 2-dimensional form of your garment, and then you cut your piece of fabric based on that 2-dimensional paper to sew it together. So the pattern maker are highly skilled, but they don't like making samples. A lot of times they don't want to touch it. So what they end up doing is you almost have to find a separate person to do a sample. So they don't communicate with each other. So if there is a problem once the sample is sewn up, you don't know whose fault that was, who made the mistake, and they always pointing fingers at each other. So if you tell the sample maker, they're like, no, it's the pattern. The pattern maker will say, no, it's the sample maker. So in all of this retrospective thinking, I think with all of the stuff that I have to manage separately, it is almost cheaper for me to just go to a company like the Evans Group to just help me manage all of that. And knowing that they have an in-house team to do all of that, they have somebody that they can communicate with each other.
That's awesome. So you prefer to do everything in the United States and not going to China, or easier here to manage everything, or cheaper? You can find something cheaper here too as well, right?
Exactly. So overseas, usually they won't be able to take your factory order unless you're doing like 1,000 pieces.
Yes.
That's their minimum. So for startup, I cannot afford that. Maybe your upfront cost is a little bit more per piece, meaning if you go offshore to China, maybe piece, they will charge you, say, $5. I'm just throwing a number out that's not realistic. But in the US, maybe you pay double that price, but they are able to accept a smaller order. So for example, the factory I go to, they can do 10 or 20.
Wow.
It's just that the per piece price may go up a little bit, but overall you won't be stuck with a huge inventory.
Right. Yes, that's so true. And how do you price your products? Like based on what you spend in every product, how do you price them?
Correct. So this is something that I've actually learned in my previous marketing career and in business school, is that you don't want to price based on your cost. Meaning, say it costs $10 for me to make something. You don't want to just say, I'm going to, add a little bit more. In the fashion industry, because I'm not wholesaling, meaning I'm not selling to somebody else to sell my product. I'm going directly to my consumer. I basically look at who are the customer I want to sell to. What is that they are willing to pay? And based on that, of course, I have to justify, are they willing to pay for that much for my product? Maybe the answer is not. I don't know yet. Maybe I have to drop my price. But you don't want to just base on your cost. The cost is always good to know, but is as a reference point so that you're actually making enough money to cover your costs. But you don't want to just say it's 1.5 times or 2 times. You want to base your price on your target customers' spending behavior. That's how I would say it. Okay,
that's good. I didn't know that. That's a good point. I love it.
And one mistake I think even I did it when I was working in the corporate, is that you don't want to price low and then go high. Because if you think about it from a consumer point, if you start buying from one thing from a company, suddenly they increase the price, you're a lot less likely to keep buying from them. You may go somewhere else to look for a cheaper deal, right? So it's easier that you price your product a little bit higher and then you can lower it. It's more acceptable that way than the other way around.
Okay, so that happened to me that actually last week. I charged for a long dress. I sell vintage clothes. I charged for a long dress $50.
Okay.
Because I thought it was so cheap. And then I realized like what I spent for the shipping overseas is like $45.
Oh.
So yeah, so I just got $5 from that dress.
Yeah.
So I learned the bad way, and I was like, I need to raise my money, my prices,
Yeah.
So I did it. I rose everything $20 because I think that I have good stuff and I think they're in a good quality. And I rose everything $20 and I put free shipping for the United States.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to
so you think that
cost.
was a good thing that I did, like a good?
I think so. I mean, and at this point, you probably know who your customers most likely are. You may have some data already where they're coming from, which item sells better. And if you want to raise your price, you may want to look at, okay, which item was the most expensive one I have sewn? Was that something that your customer can absorb? And you may use that as your reference point. Say, if I raise everything to that price, about that price point, would that still cover my costs, but without pissing off the customers?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I have to I'm tweaking it, I'm
Me
still
too.
like,
I don't know all the answers.
Yeah, it's like endless. Like sometimes I sell a lot and it's good, but sometimes it's not. So I have to tweak it and just, it keeps going.
Yeah.
And I'm starting up as well. So I think I'm trying to still see and get to know my customer, my ideal customer.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes you have that in your mind, but you don't know if that person really exists. Yeah. And where are they?
You know what happens to me? My ideal client, it's me.
I know. Usually we started with ourselves, right?
Yes. It's like, who is your ideal client? Well, it's 28. She's a mom. She's independent, and she loves fashion. She loves music. Oh, it's me.
Yeah. So another thing that I think I mentioned a while back on the group, I posted something about, so a lot of people from this group, I think we knew each other through Instagram, so intention Instagram group, right? But I have not really been active on it because what I've been noticing is that I got a lot of but usually they're bloggers and not really my customers. It's still great because I can reach out to them, but it's not somebody that will buy from me. And in fact, when I track a lot of the activities, like a link, say for special deals or certain special promotion I'm doing, I put a special link on my profile. There was never somebody click on that link.
I know.
So I've been focusing more on Facebook advertising myself. And I don't know how many people use that here in the group, and I'm no expert on it, but you can actually go to do an audience insights on Facebook. And put in, say, for you, Pamela, let's say, do you have a particular brand that you actually like? Let's say for me, I would think my customers has similar attribute to people who like Anthropologie. Let's say, use that as example. So if you go to Facebook, you have a Facebook business page. You can go to the audience insight page. In the interest section, you type in Anthropologie and look at that page. What they would do is give you all the people who like Anthropologie's page and their shopping behavior and the demographics, their age range, other pages that they like. So for example, if I type in Anthropologie, I got a list of like 20 pages that these people who like Anthropologie also like these other pages, including, they break it down into different categories, but including categories for clothing, makeup, toys, baby clothes, food, dining behavior, magazines. So some other related pages that these customers, the audience, will say, they also like The Honest Company, the Jessica Alba's company. So I can actually build my Facebook's ad to target these other people who like these other pages because they have similar attributes.
And doing this, you have seen that your Facebook has going up.
I have seen, so right now I'm running a campaign. So Facebook let you pick whether you want your activity, your ad activity focus on click to your website versus more engagement on your Facebook post that you posted. So right now I've been focusing more on click to my website, and I definitely seen a lot more click. Like each campaign, I do it weekly. Each campaign, I run it for about 3 days, which is too short. I should probably do it longer. But I will get about 50 clicks to my website.
So how much do you spend a monthly for Facebook ads?
I have not go back to a month because I just started for a month, but I think so far I spent about $50, 50. I spend $5. I set a budget of $5 a day.
And what's your ROI? How do you think your ROI goes with that?
Right now, I have to be honest, I have not got one purchase at all. It's all just new people going to my website.
Well, I think it's gonna go. I think it's patience. Like what I've learned when you're starting up is like, hey, I'm not having any sale.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's because you're very new. You're just
exactly.
You're starting now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think yes, what you said about Facebook ads, and right now I just want to invest as well in SEO and all that stuff, because I just want people to get to know myself more and my brand.
Exactly.
I'm not expecting any sales. I'm just expecting more traffic and more traffic.
Exactly, because people normally don't buy. I think there was some statistic out there that they don't buy until like certain number of times that they have heard from you on an email, maybe 10 or 20 times when they've actually like interacted with your website or with your email. So I don't expect any immediate return with my Facebook campaign in the next couple months, which is what I'm doing right now. I have something called Short Girls Crushing It campaign, which is basically...
Oh, yeah, I saw it on your website. I love it.
Yeah, and because my designs is for petite women, is for anybody 5'4" and under.
And I love that because it's very niche. You know, you can do anything you want because your target is very, very, very directed. Like you know exactly who you want. So I think that's amazing, and that's gonna be a lot easier for you as well.
I hope so. Right now, like you and a lot of us here, I think we're just still trying to test the water, see which way is the best. But the system I did with the campaign is basically I interview each week. I feature a short girl on my website. I do you can go to my website to check it out, and I do an interview with them. And by interview is nothing laborious. I had a standard 10-20 questionnaire. I email it to them. They fill it out with pen. Sometimes they don't. They just type it up, and that's fine. And I just use that as an image and put it on my website, and that's it. So the work for me is minimal. And I write an email every week to my audience. And what I do is, for the feature short girl, I give her a special discount that only she will have it, and she can share it with whoever she wants through email or social media. So I have emailed to her. I would tag her on Facebook with featuring her post, but I will tag her on it so she can share it on her social media circle and on Instagram. So that's the way I'm going about, because what I notice is that as somebody like me who's really new, it's not a brand that people have already heard of, just word of mouth, your friends knowing each other is usually where my first order come from.
That's so true. And I think you actually just answered Ruth's question about how to get exposure for your products without breaking the bank. You're not a professional photographer, and very few of your customers are willing to share pictures. So I think you did answer her here in our comments. So do you want to talk more about that? So I think you said like this type of marketing.
Exactly.
Zero. It's kind of what Roots and every people who's doing products should do, right?
Yeah, and I think, depends on your bandwidth and depends on how you normally reach your customer. But everybody should have a email list, or at least building it. And after the talk, I can actually post a couple resources that I really like, and they are, courses that I've taken that I think was very helpful for me. And I know, everybody has a different style. It may not be for you, but for me, there are certain podcasts that I listen to that are very helpful. But email is basically the golden thing that you need to do. You need to be constantly collecting your potential leads email. But that is basically the way I'm trying to do, is through word of mouth. And if somebody, through my friends. Initially, you always just have to start with your friends and family who knows you and know your product, and have them spread the word for you. So for Ruth, I think what I wrote, a couple ways of doing it. One is the sort of similar to the campaign I'm running. And if you have a blog, or if you already have a blog, that may be something that you want to do. And I don't do it for the entire year. I feature 9 people at a time. So I do it in a burst duration, so that if after the 9 interviews, it doesn't work, then okay, then it's 9. I'll start something new. But if you say every week, you commit to come every week, then you feel like, okay, this whole year I have to do it. But if you just set a number of people, say for the next 10 weeks, I'm going to feature 10 people, then there's an end point and you can measure it. And you can probably do something similar even without a blog. As far as picture goes, I think these days I just use my iPhone 6s to take pictures. A lot of them are really high quality. Yeah. And like what we talked about earlier, as far as photo touch up, you just ask somebody else to do it. Don't do it yourself.
Ask somebody else.
Yeah.
Yes, that was exactly what I was going to say. For me, that I'm taking a lot of product shots, I would recommend Ruth and everyone there that just look for photographers in your area that are willing to help you out, or maybe you can pay them even the food or anything, like just give them something. There are a lot of people. I've noticed that here in LA, there's a lot of young photographers that want to help me.
Yeah, they can use it as building their portfolio for no charge.
Exactly. That's how I met. I asked them if they want to expand their portfolio and everything, and they're like, "Yeah, please help. I would love that." And they're doing it for free, So there's a lot of ways to take a good photography, and also for Ruth, that she's doing babies' toys. I would recommend to send your target market something like a gift.
Exactly. I think I did mention something like similar to that, is you almost have to give it away so that people can wear it with their kids and take a picture for you.
Yeah. I had this, actually, she's here in the group. Nikki, she sent me headbands for me and my baby, headbands.
Oh.
So, and that's awesome. I haven't taken the picture because Emma hates headbands, but I'm trying to.
I know, how to constantly pull it out.
Yeah, she hates them. But I mean, Ruth can do the same. Saying, moms, I have these toys. You can give it to your babies as a gift, or even to your niece, or something like that, and they would appreciate anything like that. And it's word of mouth.
Right. And if you don't want to do a giveaway, because sometimes we only have so much inventory and you only make so much and it's a lot of money to give stuff out, what you can do is to, depends on your audience. I think a lot of moms depends on how old the moms you're targeting. I would probably say Facebook has a lot of moms group just like this one, but they may be more focusing on babies instead of momtrepreneurs like us. So you can join those group and participate. And if you spot anybody who already posts pictures of their kid, bingo, they are willing to post picture of their kids on social media, maybe target those people.
Exactly.
And also announce some sort of giveaway on those groups, say, hey, I'm having a giveaway. But the rule will be, that they have to go to your social media page to say something about themselves or their kid, so that you know who they are, and the criteria will be they will also have to provide a picture afterwards once they win the gift. Take a snapshot, something like that.
Exactly. Or hashtags like, hey, I have this hashtag or something like that. Just be creative. I think. What you need to do. And we're running out of time, unfortunately.
Aww.
I know, but I just want to say thank you so much, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me.
I love your what you're doing. I love that you're a fashion designer, as I am. And, I love to have you here in this group, and thank you so much for just commenting and being there, engaging. And I hope to have you back here again. And
yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, just how to see, I would love to see how your business grows with us.
Same here. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. So I'll see you around in Dear Mom community.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.